أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، أحييكم بتحية الإسلام، تحية من أهل الجنة، تحية من عند الله مباركة طيبة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, the theme of today's khutbah is the menace of racism, nationalism in an individual level and in a community level. This is the part 2 of the khutbah, which the chief imam is supposed to come and deliver last 2 weeks, but Allah Azza wa Jalla did not decree upon him for him to deliver that khutbah. And it is a khutbah which we've already translated at the last 2 weeks, which we expected his presence. But because of the trial of Allah Azza wa Jalla, he was tried with the sickness of one of his daughters, and he has to take her to the hospital. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant her shifa and to make it as kafara upon the imam and us at large. And we also have to also include him in the prayer, because he actually really needs our prayer, because he has to run some of the surgeries. He was transferred to some of the outside country to go and run that surgery with some huge amount. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant him or to restore the situation he's facing, and as well to also grant the shifa to the daughter. Inshallah, as we earlier mentioned, that is the theme of the khutbah. I have delivered, that's why I don't even know where to start from, but we still continue reminding ourselves, because Allah Azza wa Jalla commanded the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to remind by preaching the Quran, by conveying his message, because reminding benefit the believers. Every time can be reminded with an hadith today, that same hadith can be also thrown to you tomorrow, because by default human being is known with something that has to do with forgetfulness. That's why we remind ourselves every time. We remind ourselves like that. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to count us among those who will be successful in this world, and also will be successful on the day of on the day of resurrection. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us good ending. And the Prophet ﷺ also commanded that بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً, that we should convey his message, even if it's a verse, even if it's one hadith you have, you continue reminding to the extent till Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put guidance in the heart of the person through the message that you are conveying. Lidhalik, my dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, I'm enjoining you and myself to be conscious of Allah, because this is the commandment that Allah gave to the people of the book, the nation before us, and it is also a command to us that we should fear Allah Azza wa Jalla, because this is what gave us status in this world, and this is what elevates us on the day of resurrection. Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in the Quran that, O mankind, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha, that indeed we created you from male and female. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا, and will make you into families, nations, وَقَبَائِل, and also tribes, لِتَعَارَفُوا, in order for you to recognize one another, not in order for you to demonstrate racism, not in order for you to demonstrate tribalism or nationalism. Just for you to recognize one another and for you to also know the greatness of Allah Azza wa Jalla. For Him being able to create these languages, Allah created them. وَاللَّهُ خَلَقَكُمْ وَمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. Allah created you and what you act upon it, on what you act on. Like the languages that you are seeing, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, whatever language you can think of, all these are creations of Allah Azza wa Jalla. For us to know that yes, Allah is so grateful. In a way that someone will say something, you can't even interpret what that person is saying. This is a sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so grateful. But upon that, even with that, recognizing one another, this person speak Hausa, and you understand the language, you speak with him, this particular person speak Yoruba, you could understand what that person is speaking, you speak with him also, or with her, and other things. All these things are creation of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And again, there is no preference of one tribe over the other. That is why Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in that ayah that inna akramakum indallah, that the noblest among you in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jalla atqakum, are those who are more righteous. Meaning, if you want to be noble in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jalla, you need to be sticked to taqwa. You need to be sticked to taqwa. Your consciousness of Allah Azza wa Jalla has to be strong. In Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in Allah Alimun Khabir, indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is knowing, is the all-knower of everything, and Khabir is aware of everything, well acquainted with everything. Allah Azza wa Jalla also mentioned in another surah, in Surah Al-Fath, where He's describing about the mother, about the disbelievers, kind of nationalism that they are showing, or racism, or thinking that they are in the best position to be they are in the best position to be chosen as a prophet, to be dedicated as to be given prophethood, to delegate to be dedicated to convey the message of Allah Azza wa Jalla to the rest of the human race. That is their own belief, thinking they are better than any other person. They look at the Prophet ﷺ does not deserve that position, or his mother, his companions, all those ones that are following, they belittle them. Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in that surah, إِذْ جَعَلَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فِي قُلُوبِهِمُ الْحَمِيَّةَ حَمِيَّةَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ. They are showing prideness. Then Allah now mentioned that إِذْ جَعَلَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فِي قُلُوبِهِمُ الْحَمِيَّةَ, when the disbelievers harbored, put in their mind the pride of the people of Mother Jahiliyyah, the people at the time or of the time of the pre-Islamic era, meaning someone demonstrating racism or nationalism or tribalism is a sign that that person has a trait of mother disbelievers, because that is the origin of racism. The disbelievers thinking they are better than the Sahaba, they are better than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah said that mother فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ سَكِينَتَهُ عَلَى رَسُولِهِ. But with that, Allah descends His tranquility, calmness upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the believers. فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ سَكِينَتَهُ عَلَى رَسُولِهِ وَعَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَأَلْزَمَهُمْ كَلِمَةَ التَّقْوَى, and He made them to stick to the word of mother piety, that is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Put them under the fold of mother, that word, that kalimatul tawheed, because they are more worthy and more they deserve that, because they deserve that and they are more worthy to that. That is mother. وَكَانُوا أَحَقَّ بِهَا وَأَهْلَهَا وَكَانَ اللَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمًا. Allah is the all-knower of everything. Allah knows everything, and in every of His decision there is wisdom behind it, except if your mother, if it's not in your own knowledge. But Allah there is wisdom in Allah's decision. لذلك, whatever Allah decides, there is no mistake in it. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, based on the hadith compiled by Abu Dawood from the hadith narrated by Jubair ibn Mut'im, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in his statement that لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ دَعَا إِلَىٰ عَصَبِيَّةٍ, that he is not part of us, whoever is inviting to nationalism, racism, tribalism. وَلَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ قَاتَلَ عَلَىٰ عَصَبِيَّةٍ, and he is not part of us, whoever is fighting in the name of racism, in the name of nationalism, part of it fighting in the name of parties, PDP, APC, LP, or any other party. All these things are part of nationalism and also racism. Feel you are better, fighting one another in the name of party. All these things, the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever finds himself having that kind of trait, then that person is not part of him. And لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ مَاتَ عَلَىٰ عَصَبِيَّةٍ, and whoever died in the name of nationalism, in the name of party, that person on the day of resurrection, he is not also part of us. The statement of the Prophet ﷺ, the statement that comes from the mouth of the person who does not mention something from his own inclination, rather revelation from Allah Azza wa Jalla. For that we have to be very, very careful with that. Also hadith, even though that hadith that I just mentioned now, in the mother, Imam Nasruddin Albani look at that hadith as hadith that has that is weak in chain. But the meaning of the hadith is rooted in the Quran and with the support of some of the hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hadith is also compiled by Imam Muslim from the hadith narrated by Iyad ibn Himar. May Allah be pleased with him. That indeed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in his statement that indeed Allah Azza wa Jalla revealed to me. The Prophet mentioned that statement that Inna Allah awha ilayya, that Allah Azza wa Jalla revealed to me and tawadhu, for you to be humble to one another, hatta la yabghiya ahadun ala ahadin, to the extent in a way that no one or none of you transgress on the other person in the name of I'm better than that person, in the name of mother, maybe my status is more than this particular person's status. Don't use mother, your position, to torment or transgress on another person. That is totally wrong in Islam. وَلَا يَفْخَرُ أَحَدٌ عَلَىٰ أَحَدٍ, in a way that you don't boast on one another also. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned, كُلُّكُم مِّنْ Adam, all of you are from Nabi Adam. All of you are children of Nabi Adam. Meaning we have the same father. وَآدَمْ مِنْ تُرَابٍ, and Nabi Adam is created from the sand. Hadith is also compiled by Imam Tirmidhi from the hadith narrated by Hudayfah ibn al-Yaman. May Allah be pleased with him. He mentioned in his statement that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, كُلُّكُم بَنُو Adam, all of you are children of Nabi Adam, and Nabi Adam is created from the sand. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam now mentioned, took an oath, that وَلَيَنْتَهِيَنَّ قَوْمٌ يَفْتَخِرُونَ بِآبَائِهِمْ, that by Allah, wallahi, people must stop boasting on one another. In mother, must stop boasting with their ancestors on one another. People must stop boasting on one another with their ancestors. Or meaning like do you know me? Do you know the kind of family I came from? With the mother mentioning their ancestors in boasting on one another. Prophet ﷺ discouraged that. He said that if people should stop that, or أَوْ لَيَكُونَنَّ أَهْوَنَ عَلَى اللَّهِ مِنَ الْجِعْلَانِ, or Allah will humiliate them more than the way the dung beetle is humiliated. It's a name of an insect, which I already explained that. It's an insect that molds the stool of human being. If you don't want to be humiliated in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jalla, you must stop boasting, or you must stop nationalism, racism, and you must also stop mother tribalism. The Prophet ﷺ, based on the hadith also narrated by Abu Hurairah, hadith compiled in the authentic book of Al-Jami, it's the name of the book. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned in his statement that indeed Allah Azza wa Jalla has discouraged you from mother, has discouraged you something that has to do with racism, nationalism, pride, and also boasting on with an ancestors. That he now mentioned in number that people are divided into two groups. People are two types. Either that people are two types, either a pious believer or a miserable sinner. Either believers or sinner. Someone who is dutiful to Allah, obeying Allah Azza wa Jalla, or someone who is disobeying Allah, Muslim and Kafir. Allah, that is how the world is divided. With people are of two types. That is how it is. Prophet now says that لا فضل لعربي على عجمي, that there is no preference of the Arabs over the non-Arab. An Arab person is not better than you. You also, you are not better than an Arab. All of you are the same thing. The best among you are those who are best in mother, in taqwa. All of us are the same thing. The best among us are those who are better in consciousness of Allah Azza wa Jalla. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, the worst of nationalism, racism, the worst of it and the most evil of it is for someone to believe or to put in his heart that he is better than another person. Maybe because of his color, you look at your color and look at another person's color. If you are lighter than that person, you look at it that you are better than that particular person. That is so destructive. Part of racism. And because of your color or because of your body structure, you look at yourself that the way I'm looking at it, I'm better than, just like like the statement of mother, the people of and maybe the people of Hood. They look at their body structure, their creation itself. They were so amazed by the creation that the way Allah created them, mentioned in their statement, Men ashaddu minna quwwa, who are stronger than us. They look at them, they are proud of their creation. They are proud of their body structure. They are proud of their strength that Allah bestows upon them. Instead of them to use that in the obedience of Allah, to use that in matter to humble themselves or to break themselves before Allah Azza wa Jalla, they now mention in their statement, Men ashaddu minna quwwa, who are stronger than us. Allah Azza wa Jalla, mother, reply them. ماذا؟ من أشد منكم أولم يروا أن الله الذي خلقهم هو أشد منهم قوة. Don't they think that Allah who created them with their body structure, the way their strength and everything, don't they know that Allah Azza wa Jalla is stronger than them? هو أشد منهم قوة وكانوا بآياتنا يجحدون. لذلك if it is strength that Allah bestows upon you, if it is body structure, or you look at yourself fair and so many things, use that in the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Especially Allah give you health, use it in the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jalla. You have strength and your body structure is good. Alhamdulillah, you appreciate Allah Azza wa Jalla for that. But don't use it in the disobedience of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Or someone to also believe that he is better than a particular person because of his or her lineage. Also, it is wrong in Islam. Because this racism, nationalism, tribalism, there is nowhere that it does not enter into community or country or nation or society, except that it causes division among people. It causes division, and it also make righteous action to be worthless in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jalla. It also leads to reduction of the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ, because we observe that believers, a Muslim and Muslims group, some people group themselves and start fighting one another. That is also totally prohibited also in Islam. It weakens people. We need to eliminate racism, nationalism, tribalism among one another, because we are all the same thing. The best in the sight of Allah, the noblest in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jalla are those who are more in piety. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also discouraged that among the Sahaba when they try to demonstrate racism, when they try to demonstrate nationalism among themselves. Let me use that as nationalism because it has to do with mother community to community, or like country to another country, or state to state. What happened? The Prophet ﷺ mentioned in his statement that mother da'uha fa innaha muntina, that you should stop that because it is disgusting. What is the reason behind the Prophet ﷺ mentioned this particular statement? Hadith is compiled by Imam al-Bukhari and Imam Muslim. Both of them agreed upon in that hadith, meaning the hadith is very, very authentic. The Prophet ﷺ, mother, when they set on a journey going to the battlefield, at the time, battlefield which is called Mother Tabuk. When they were on their way going to the battlefield, then one of the immigrants now hit the immigrant, meaning one of the inhabitants of Medina hit someone who hit someone from among those that migrated from Mecca to Medina, which the Prophet ﷺ connected them together to be ukhuwatul Islamiyya, for them to be brotherhood in Islam. Now they set on a journey. As the person hit him, instead of them to iron it out or to apologize to one another because Islam has already connected them together, then the person who the other person hit started calling for an assistance. The immigrant, that is the Ansar is the immigrant, the Muhajir that hit the Ansar. Then the Ansari, that is the people that from among a person from the people of Medina now started calling for his support. Ya al-Ansar, meaning he's calling the people of Medina to come and support him in fighting this particular person. Then another person from the Muhajir now made a statement, now made proclamation by saying, Ya al-Muhajirin, oh people of Muhajirin, the people of Mecca, come into my support. Now, in this, if the Prophet ﷺ allowed that proclamation to continue, there is going to be war among the Muslims that have set on a journey to ensure the word of Allah is above everything. To establish the kalima, the tawheed. Now, because of that call now, that invitation or proclamation now, the believers are going to start fighting one another. Immediately the Prophet ﷺ rebuked them by mention, Ma balu da'wa al-jahiliyyah. What an awful statement, what an awful invitation of the pre-Islamic era. Amongst you are making this kind of proclamation, what is wrong? Then the person, the Ansar, now said that what happened was that one of them now explained to the Prophet ﷺ the scenario that someone hits the Ansari. That was what, and this other person is trying, and that was the reason behind calling one another like that. The Prophet ﷺ now said that Da'uha fa innaha muntina. They should stop this kind of thing. This is so disgusting. It is so disgusting. Meaning, anyone who has a trait of racism, nationalism, that person is demonstrating something which is disgusting. Meaning that person is a disgusting person. The Prophet now discouraged them from that. But due to the hypocrisy of mother Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, he now mentioned in his statement, he said that قَدْ فَعَلُوهَا, meaning they have been doing this kind of things. وَاللَّهِ لَإِنْ رَجَعْنَا إِلَى الْمَدِينَةِ لَيُخْرِجَنَّ الْأَعَزُّ مِنْهَا الْأَذَلُ. That wallahi, if we return back to the Medina, the honorable person is going to banish those who are mean among them, meaning he belittle those he belittled the emigrants. And the Prophet was part of those that migrated from Mecca to Medina. When he mentioned that statement, the Prophet should make a statement or should make a judgment. And again, you also have something to comment or to take the judgment to another place again. Then when he mentioned that, Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, he said that he now mentioned, he also now made a comment. Since Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul could not respect the Prophet ﷺ and making a comment, then he now said that, Da'ani, he now said, Ya Rasulallah, O the Messenger of Allah, Da'ani adrib unuqa hadha al-munafiq. Allow me to eliminate this or to cut off the head of this hypocrite. Abdullah Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab was so angry that Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul should make a comment after the Prophet ﷺ has settled the matter. He now mentioned that statement. The Prophet ﷺ, based on his methodology of da'wah, he now said that da'ahu. He said, allow him in also that mother, لِأَلَّا يَتَحَدَّثُ النَّاسِ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا صلى الله عليه وسلم يَقْتُلُ أَصْحَابًا, so that people will not think that the Prophet ﷺ is killing or is killing his Sahaba, since has already claimed that he is a Muslim, that has already saved his mother, has already protected his blood. That was the reason behind that was the reason why the Prophet ﷺ now discouraged Sayyidina Umar from killing Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul. The Prophet ﷺ have discouraged racism, nationalism, and tribalism in an individual level, in a community level, and he has addressed his ummah on the day of Mother, Ayyam al-Tashriq, on the day of Tashriq. During the time of Hajj, he invited the companions and addressed them, and he also addressed that he wants his ummah from any forms of mother, racism, and nationalism. Inshallah, I will allow the Imam to come and deliver the full khutbah. There are other things to mention, but because of time and his presence is very important, inshallah, you come and give us the full admonishment. Assalamu alaikum.